Good morning, Sin City, and welcome to another episode of Social Media Show. I'm your host, Sam Dever, here with two very special guests, a father-son duo of Rick and Ethan Duggan. Guys, welcome to the show.
Yeah,
Thanks a lot.
Thanks for having us.
No, definitely, and I'll jump right into it. I met you guys at Startup Weekend, and you guys are really involved in the Vegas tech community out here in Las Vegas. And if you could just tell us a little bit about each of yourselves, who you guys are and what you guys do.
Sure. So I'm the father, Rick. I, by day, am the director of website systems at Zappos. By night, I am a mentor to a lot of the Vegas tech community, different people. Specifically, I'm an advisor to both Roll Tech Bowling and LaunchKey. I was actually a member of the first, or attendee at the first Las Vegas Jelly, and have been a member of the community ever since. And along the way at the Jelly, people started asking about different kinds of presentations, and so somehow it kind of fell in my lap to coordinate those presentations. So was able to work those into my schedule as well. We called those either presentations or breakouts, so you may have heard that term as well.
Okay, yeah, no, very cool, very cool. And Ethan, how about you?
I'm Ethan, and I'm a app developer by night and a 7th grader by day.
I
have
love it.
5 apps in the App Store, and they're Lazy Suite, which is Lazy Husband, Lazy Wife, and Lazy Kid, and they allow you to answer questions that you don't want to answer.
Give me an example.
So, like, if your wife comes home and she asks, "How do I look in this dress?" you can just pull out the app and say, "You look beautiful."
I see that being pretty convenient for a lot of husbands out there. That's very nice. What got you into app building? Obviously, your dad, I'm sure, had some influence in that.
Mostly my dad, and so I wanted to get into tech because I was always on a computer. I've always been with tech because of my dad. So we went to Vegas Tech, and I learned a lot from the people there. A couple names are Susan Hinton, Jeff Sanders, and I learned to code on codeacademy.com. And I got a lot of support from the Vegas Tech community, so I built Lazy Husband, and I launched it at South by.
Oh, very nice. And I'm curious to get your guys' opinion, because it seems, especially what's going on here in Vegas, everyone kind of becoming a miniature Silicon Valley, all the startups happening, everyone having these ideas for apps, but you guys actually build these things. From your point of view, what's it like right now in the industry, like the app building industry? Because it seems everyone has an app or has an idea for an app, but it seems like you guys are actually turning these things out and putting them together.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of ideas that float around for apps, and obviously there are plenty of apps in the App Store. I think where specifically Ethan is positioned is, he's not trying to solve the world's problems right now.
Right.
He's 12. He's, trying to find what he enjoys in life. And we think that he's found his passion, so he just comes up with different ideas. We actually have a list of about 10 or 15 ideas, and after, the Lazy Family suite of apps, there was actually another idea, Bargument, that came up. That was actually not his idea initially. It was actually from a friend of mine at Zappos named Brian Kirkby.
Cool.
We were just talking one day, and he gave it to me. I kind of just filed it in the back of my head, came home, talked to Ethan about it. We put it on the list, and then as he finished the Lazy Family set of apps, he's like, hey, I think that Bargument one would be pretty fun to work on. So he just decided that was the one he wanted to work on. So it's really just something that, just like other kids have other extracurricular activities, like some kids play football or baseball or karate, this is what Ethan does after school. So he gets home from school, does his homework, and then when he's done with that, this is something that he really enjoys doing. So that's why these apps end up getting built. It's because it's something that he enjoys doing, and it's just as much an extracurricular activity as any other, and it's something that it's his choice to do, and he's the one who builds them. I definitely help and assist when I can, but the work is all his, and it's something that we find that he's really learning from.
That's awesome. It's awesome you found that passion so early.
Mm-hmm.
So, in terms of you got a lot of years ahead of you, but in terms of your career, is this something you want to continue to do long term, build apps, or what? I guess do you have any other goals in mind? What you want to do with your skill set?
I do know that I want to be in the computer field as a computer programmer. I don't know if apps are what I'm going to do for my whole life.
Right.
I do know I do want to be a computer programmer, and my only real goals are program for a couple thousand hours before I'm 18 and know 5 programming languages.
5 programming languages. And that would be, correct me if I'm wrong. I've attended I've been to a Vegas Jelly, trying to educate myself.
Sure.
So it'd be like Python or JavaScript. Tell me a little bit about Startup Weekend. What you guys, I met you guys at the last one, the last app you guys worked on. Platesy?
Yeah, so Platesy was an idea that I actually had a couple years ago, and it's a vanity license plate guessing game. When I originally envisioned it, I was envisioning it as a vanity license plate decoder. So we've all had those situations. You're driving down the highway and you see that license plate in front of you, 1BGSWCH, and you're trying to figure out in your head, what does this mean?
Hi there, I'm here representing Awesome License Plate Reader. What we do is we solve the problem of not understanding personalized license plates. I've got this personalized license plate here. It says 1BGSWCH. What does that mean? One big sandwich? One bogus witch? One big switch? What the hell does one bogus witch even mean? What we are going to do is provide a solution that will read these and provide you with all of the possible meanings for license plates.
And so my idea that I pitched at Startup Weekend was a way to automatically decode that. We got past the first few rounds of voting and through the cuts of the different ideas and put a team together. And when we started to sit down and talk to the team, we realized that probably wasn't the best thing to build. So we actually pivoted and ended up building a license plate guessing game where at the first version that we built at Startup Weekend, you can type in a license plate and post it to your Facebook wall and invite your friends to guess what it means. And we're actually still working as a team on our next version, which is a true game where you can type in a license plate and an answer, and you'll be able to challenge your friends in real time to play with you and guess these license plates, and there will be a leaderboard of the people who guess the license plates in the quickest amount of time.
Wow, very cool. So it's still moving. You guys are still active
working on it. Yeah,
still working on it.
And it's the same team from Startup Weekend. All 6 of us have remained with the project.
Wow, that's so cool.
Which is definitely pretty fun. And it's one of the. There are definitely other teams who have continued after Startup Weekend, but of the people that I've been with, they've been at several Startup Weekends. This is the first Startup Weekend that they've been at where their particular team has continued on, and they're pretty excited by it. So it's myself, Ethan, obviously, Dan Worthington, LB Corney, Thurindu, and Ryan Allen.
Wow, that's really cool. And that's the thing about Startup Weekend is you don't necessarily have to win. You can take that team and continue with it afterwards, no matter what. So that's a beautiful thing that you guys have been able to stay together and progress with it like that.
Yeah, with Startup Weekend, right, you only have 54 hours to build something. So whatever you get done by the end probably isn't the final version anyway. So if you can continue on, again, whether you won or not, as long as you have some idea that you think is fun, and that's really the reason that we're doing this, is we just all think this is kind of a fun game to play, and so that's why we're continuing to build it. If we didn't think it was fun, we would just say, oh, okay, that was kind of a cool weekend. All right, let's try the next one. But we all are really enjoying the game that we're building. So
okay. Absolutely. And we are a social media show, so I'm really curious from your guys' point of view, because you guys are building the apps, but a lot of them probably incorporate social media in some way, shape, or form. So how do you guys see social media being incorporated, or how are you guys using it into what you do?
I'm using it. We did a lazy husband contest. What you did is you tweeted at Lazy Husband app your best lazy husband phrase, and
That's awesome.
then we put it to we picked the top retweeted ones. Then we put them to a wedgies or some sort of voting thing. I can't remember. Then the top one we're gonna put into the app.
Wow, that's so cool. How's the response been so far?
It's been pretty cool. I think the winning phrase was "Honey, you are absolutely right."
yeah.
I bet that one gets used a lot, or it will be used a lot. Then Platesy, you guys have incorporated. You said Facebook. It was getting posted to Facebook walls.
Yeah, by the end of Startup Weekend, we actually had Platesy where you could type in a license plate and ask your friends to guess what it meant, and that would automatically go on your Facebook wall. In the newer version, it'll be a more direct game, but definitely social media will be involved in terms of tweeting out your results. Hey, I just scored 50 points on this game. Why don't you try it? Or to even challenge your friends. So social media is going to be a huge part of Platesy as well. More, I guess, generally speaking, social media, I think, has played actually a huge role in the founding of Vegas Tech. And if you go back to April 2011, which is when the first Jelly was, there were 13 people there. We got together. We mostly knew each other personally and started talking, and we were trying to get the word out about different events. And there obviously are all kinds of ways to get information out. There's, meetup groups, and you could have an Eventbrite site and all these different things. But none of those matter if you can't get people to see them. And so we talked about it a little bit. We actually debated different names, and we ultimately settled on Vegas Tech as the hashtag that we used. And then that became the rallying cry, if you will, for the community. So as people were doing things or setting up an event or just wanting to chat, they would always use the hashtag Vegas Tech. And so, Sam, if you and I didn't know each other back then, but we both knew or had at least heard about Vegas Tech, as long as we were following or searching for that hashtag, we could find out about all the latest events. And then ultimately that would allow us to connect directly. But you didn't have to know anyone else in the community. All you had to know was that there was this thing called hashtag Vegas Tech.
Wow.
And that's honestly, I don't think the community would be where it is today without Twitter. I think that was the key event, or a key, I guess, system that was the genesis of bringing everybody together.
That's very interesting you say that. And now thinking of all the Twitter profiles I see here in Vegas, how many people have that in their bio?
Yeah.
Hashtag Vegas Tech.
It's
So
in the
how-
bio. It was the actual official way that we represented Vegas Tech at South by Southwest in our booth. We had one of the largest booths at South by Southwest for the Vegas Tech community, not for a single company, but representing the community. And the giant sign that hung over the booth that we had was specifically not just Vegas Tech, but specifically hashtag Vegas Tech, to kind of pay respect to that original way it was started.
Wow, that's so cool. So 2011 is when that first started.
April 2011 was the first jelly, and I believe the name Vegas Tech came into use sometime that summer. I don't remember the exact time frame for that.
Okay. Now, can you give me a little perspective from both of you guys, the Vegas Tech scene now and where you see it going here in the next 2-3 years maybe? Because you guys have been there since the beginning, so I'm curious to see where it is now and where you see it progressing to.
Ethan?
It's hard to put a finger on where it's going to go because it's growing so rapidly and a bunch of new people are coming in, creating new startups at a startup weekend, and you get to see so many people. And I think it's probably going towards more of a younger demographic, like me. I've seen at a startup weekend there was a team of only high schoolers who now I think go to UNLV, and they had Flu Buddies. So,
Flu Buddies, yeah.
Yeah.
so I think it's going to go much bigger and better, and it's also going to have a much younger, approval to get in, because more kids are getting in. Even my friend, since he learned I was programming, he's now learning to program.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
So cool.
I would say for me, I think it's a natural evolution of the community in the sense that when it was first started, it was just a group of people who maybe had some ideas for their own projects and just really trying to get together more to form a community where people could learn from each other. And then that ended up spawning the different startups. So, you had your early startups in the Vegas Tech community like Rumger and Wedgies. And eventually you got to, some companies that were started at a startup weekend a year ago, like LaunchKey, which did win startup weekend and is continuing on and is actually in their public beta right now, about to launch. So you're seeing that kind of momentum build of these companies building. And I think the next step is going to be those companies simply literally moving to that next step of success, right? So the next thing you'll see are these companies selling product and bringing in customers, and then eventually you'll start to see some exits, be they either acquisitions or eventually I think we'll see some IPOs coming out of this. But really it's that natural next step of what is going to happen is you're going to see these companies really start to become true full-fledged companies and start to bring in a lot of revenue. And that's going to be an exciting next phase for us in the Vegas Tech community.
Oh, that's awesome. And that's great stuff. And I guess my next follow-up to that would be, what advice would you guys give to somebody wanting to, that maybe they're a startup, maybe they want to try to get an app built, maybe they just want to get involved in the Vegas Tech community, but they don't really know how or where to get started. What advice would you guys have for them?
I would say there's any number of ways to get involved in the community. We've had so many people come up to myself at the Jelly and say, hey, I want to get involved. And really, you can come see me personally. I'm at most of the Jellies. You can reach out to me on Twitter at Rick Duggan. You can email me, rick.duggan@gmail.com. There's any number of ways to reach me. You can run into sort of any of the kind of people who are in the community, and they'll point you in the right direction. And really, once you kind of introduce yourself, there's no stopping you from doing what you want. Every idea that's been come up with, people have been supportive of. So it started with the jelly, and then people wanted to move over and do something called the green jelly, and then some of the meetup groups got more popular. So all these different aspects, just people came in and they had different interests, and those interests were supported. Eventually there was another podcast, the Downtown podcast. Dylan Jorgensen just decided one day that was something he wanted to do, so he kind of spun that up. So it's all a matter of just finding someone to talk to and then just moving forward with the idea. That's really what shows in the community if someone is serious about helping, is if they get involved, they say they want to help, and then they can move forward with
Take
something.
action.
Just take action. And we're our community of doers. That's really our slogan, is just effing do it.
And that's really one thing I've found. And I know serendipity seems to be the word that's used a lot, but it's true, because you do connect with people, and then the next day, well, hey, let's see what we can do, and then you start building things, and that's what I see happening is people, a lot of awesome. I love Las Vegas because everyone knows about the Strip. That's never going away.
Yeah, of course.
But what's going on downtown in the Vegas tech scene, it's so cool. Just the entrepreneurship, intelligence, and creativity that's going on. A lot of great things are being built.
Yeah, thanks.
Definitely. Ethan, how about you?
I like one of the answers that you asked. If you want to build an app or a company, what I would suggest is the lean startup method. Think of all the features you want, write them down, cut half of them, and then build that. And then see if people like the idea, create the half version, see if people still like it, gather a lot of feedback, then create the full-fledged version.
The MVP, if you will, right? The minimal.
Yes.
Because the way they put it at Startup Weekend is a lot of people will put a lot into thinking what they think is going to be the best, when then they go and test it and well, that didn't have a really good result. They said just get that good base, test it, and let the market really decide what it's going to be.
Right.
All right, awesome. Well, guys, thank you so much. Thank you so much for coming on. You guys have any last shout-outs, and where can people find you guys online?
I can be found, as I said, on Twitter at Rick Duggan. Shout-outs would be to, I think there's a great other group that's in town, Susan Hinton, Brian Monroe, Pavel Simchimchowski over at SynShop. They basically take what we do with software in terms of building apps, and they allow you to build physical things in the SynShop. So I really love what those guys are doing over there, so just want to definitely give a shout-out to them.
Okay, cool.
For my shout-outs, probably Jeff Sanders and George Moncrief. Jeff Sanders is at LaunchKey. He helped me a lot too with CSS, which allows you to make your web pages and apps look better. And George Moncrief helped us a lot with PhoneGap, which is what we build on. And the AppGyver guys at steroids.js. They allow you. It's basically PhoneGap on steroids, and it's a lot better, and it's what I use now. And if you want to find me, it's at Ethan Duggan, at Lazy Husband App, and I think we're going to create an app argument app.
Yep.
And my email is ethan@merlvlabs. That's MERLVLABS.
All right, very cool. And you were actually showing me before the show that the social media show pulled up on Bargument.
Yeah, so we have a beta version here, and it turns out that according to Bargument, the UNLV social media podcast, Sam Dever, is the founder of the most popular podcast in the world with more viewers than Adam Carolla. So I don't know if folks knew that,
get a zoom in of that
but
really
it's
quick?
actually right here on the internet. So obviously it must be true.
It has to be true.
It has to be true.
All right, excellent. Well, Rick, Ethan, thank you so much. Continue doing what you guys doing. We look forward to tracking your progress, and keep it up. You guys are doing awesome.
I appreciate it.
Thanks.
Thanks.
Thanks.